How did Palace Pets go from being one of the most beloved franchises in Disney's history to disappearing off the face of the earth without even a farewell message? Yes, for years, Disney seemed to forget it ever existed. Until recently. In April 2026, the official Disney Junior Instagram account posted some old artwork of a princess and a glittery little dog captioned Princess Pet Era. 26,000 likes. And underneath it, a few thousand people losing their minds with joy over a franchise most of the rest of the internet had probably long since forgotten. Palace Pets return? I hope they bring it back. Please, bring it back! And what's Disney done with all that? Sweet nothing! The company has not made a Palace Pets toy since 2018. It has not made an episode since 2017. It deleted the games in 2019 and turned away the children who asked for their money back. Anywhere it would cost Disney a penny to exist, Palace Pets has been gone for years. And yet, the people in these comments still want it back so badly, they will plead with $1 billion corporation in public for the return of a cartoon about princess kittens. So, Disney built a thing a generation of kids loved and then got shot of it. Why? Well, nobody properly knows. Some say it stopped making the company money. Others reckon Disney just got bored of it. And one of the answers ended up with the company in front of a judge. Though Disney never once bothered to say which one of these reasons was the truth. Stay tuned because we're going to investigate all of that. First thing to get straight though, Disney Palace Pets was real. I only mention it because a fair few people are no longer sure. Oh my god, I thought I was the only one who remembered the Palace Pets. Or that I'd like hallucinated it or something. Thank you for making a video about this so I don't have to feel like a crazy person anymore. Picture loving something as a child so completely and watching it vanish so totally that years later, you find yourself checking whether you invented it. Look at any comment section and that same disorientation is everywhere. Grown adults delighted and fairly rattled, learning that the glittery kittens were real and other people remembered them too. So, what was Palace Pets? I'm glad you asked. In 2013, Disney looked at the Disney Princess line, by its own account, the most successful entertainment franchise in America at the time, and decided it had a problem. The princesses did not come with enough purchasable animals. And that was an odd conclusion because most of them actually already had animals. Cinderella had her mice. Ariel had a fish and a crab with his own musical number. Rapunzel had a charmeleon. Jasmine had a fully grown tiger. Pocahontas was running a small raccoon and hummingbird operation on the side. If anything, the films were overstaffed in the wildlife department. The snag is that you can't really sell a sarcastic crab. So, Disney commissioned a brand new set of pets, each one styled in the way of its owner. A kitten in Ariel's colours, a fluffy white pup for Cinderella, and handed them names like Treasure, Pumpkin and Berry. An entire panel zoo of tiara-wearing creatures who had appeared in precisely no films on shelves by the autumn. Disney's own princess licensing boss laid out the thinking at launch. The line, she said, tapped into girls' play patterns of nurturing and pampering, which is the sound an executive makes after locating a tender instinct in small children, and then working out where to fit the card reader. If that sounds uncharitable, the fans got there first. In hindsight, Palace Pet just looks like Disney's answer to Littlest Pet Shop. And the fact they all had ponies in their lineups tells me they were also trying to compete with a certain other pony franchise at the time, lol. These are the people who adored Palace Pets, reverse engineering the marketing strategy that was once aimed squarely at them. Every princess in the range got a pony, in the exact years a certain rainbow-coloured pony cartoon was the biggest thing going. They knew it was a knockoff, yet they loved it regardless. Both of those things can be true at once, and you can hear it in the way they talk about it. Half taking the mick, half heartbroken. And they really did love it. I remember playing in the Palace Pets app while waiting in queues in Disney World. Lovely memories. And you can multiply this memory across the millions of kids who had one of these on a tablet or on a bedroom shelf. Because here's the thing people forget, when they decide a Vanish thing must have flopped. Palace Pets sold like mad. The app was downloaded close to 5 million times. There were over 40 books. At the end of the run, 54 different pets were in production. Whisker Haven Tales, the little animated series Disney spun up, pulled more than 200 million views in its first year alone. This was a hit, aimed with real precision at children too young to read the price tag, and it landed. Which means everything that came afterwards was indeed a choice. So, why did they scrap a hit? Here's the honest answer. Nobody's really sure. Anybody selling you one tidy reason is, frankly, having you on. What we've got is a lineup of suspects, so let's take them in order of how much evidence stands behind each. Reason 1. the lawsuit. Quick one before we go on, only a small slice of you watching are actually subscribed. If you want more videos pulling stuff like this apart, hit that subscribe button. In 2017, a parent sued Disney, and the Palace Pets app was the named lead in the case. The claim was that the app had advertising software buried in its code, harvesting children's device identifiers to target adverts at them, all without asking for a parent's permission. The exact thing American child privacy law exists to require. Disney called the complaint based on a fundamental misunderstanding of corporate principles and vowed to fight it in court. Yet, Disney did not fight it in court. The case settled in 2021 when Disney and a row of ad tech firms agreed to strip the software out, paid no damages, and admitted no wrongdoing. So, technically, no one was ever found to have done anything. What I can give you though is the timing. A judge refused to throw the case out in May 2019. The apps were deleted that same month. The timing is indeed suggestive, but suggestive is as far as the evidence will take you. If you wanted the lawsuit to be the smoking gun, that's the honest place to leave it. The likelier story has more moving parts, so stay with me. Reason 2. The cartoon ended. Yes, the story died before the rest of it. Whisker Haven Tales ended in 2017, its last run of episodes coming in noticeably shorter, the way a show gets trimmed before it's dropped. And once the cartoon stops, nothing's left to remind a 5-year-old the characters exist, and the toys lose the engine that sold them. Reason 3. Disney walked away from apps. Yes, reason 3 is the corporate plumbing, shall we say. In 2015, Disney merged its consumer products and digital divisions, and over the next few years, it backed out of publishing its own small mobile games altogether. The 2019 deletion of the Palace Pets apps sits neatly inside that far larger retreat. Reason 4. The toy license lapsed. Reason 4 lives in the paperwork. The firm that made the toys, Blip Toys, held the license from the start. Around 2016, it passed to a company called Jack's Pacific, and the final meaningful wave of merchandise arrived in spring 2018. After that, nothing. A license handed along, then left to lapse, is the toy trade's version of a flatline on the monitor. So, which one of these reasons actually killed it? Probably all of them all at once. A lawsuit hanging over the lead app, a finished cartoon, a company walking away from apps, a toy license left to lapse, bars, every one of them closing in on a property that Disney had honestly already lost interest in. It was a thing dying of several things at once, while the company that owned it looked the other way. And yet, Disney never officially cancelled Palace Pets. You see, cancelling something takes a decision, an announcement, a sentence somewhere reading, "This is over, thanks, goodbye." Disney managed none of it. The show just stopped. The toys just stopped. And in May 2019, the apps were pulled from the stores, with one small piece of admin for the children who had actually spent money inside those apps. Because, of course, Disney would not be refunding any of the virtual items or in-game coins people had bought. So, the pets a child had spent real pocket money to bring home went dark, permanently, and in Disney's own worlds, this was not their problem. Imagine a toy shop selling a kid a doll, sending someone round 2 years later to take it back off the shelf in the bedroom, and leaving a note on the kitchen table explaining this is just how things are now. Deal with it. A franchise that made a fortune, that a generation of children loved, that ended up in front of a judge, was let go off so carelessly that Disney could not be asked to officially end it. It stopped being worth the effort, so they stopped making the effort. But what if they did make the effort again? What if, after all this, Disney brought Palace Pets back? It's worth playing out because the fans ask for it constantly. What would that even look like? Well, the old app's out for a start. The app is the thing that got Disney sued, and children's privacy law has only tightened since. The rules that landed across 2025 and 2026 make a free ad-funded game aimed at small kids a far bigger legal headache than it was back in 2014. Rebuilding that means real lawyers and real caution for a minor little brand, which is exactly the sort of efforts Disney has spent this whole video proving it can't be bothered with. So you probably get the cheap version instead, the pets popping up as a guest cameo in some game Disney already runs, or a fresh run of toys, or a handful of 2-minute shorts uploaded to YouTube on a slow afternoon. It would be the smallest gesture that still technically counts as bringing it back. So, drumroll please, will any of it actually happen? Well, nothing's been announced. No toy, no show, no trademark filing, no nothing. Well, almost nothing. Disney did have one crack at bringing it back, and credit to the YouTuber The Holly Diaries for digging this up.
There were even reports in December of 2020 that a new Palace Pets series titled Whisker Haven Royal Hearts of Fun was in development for Disney Junior. Obviously the show never materialised and is assumed to be cancelled.
So, even the single time Disney roused itself to revive Palace Pets, it lost interest and wandered off halfway through, which is the whole sorry saga in miniature, and the fans aren't exactly forcing the issue. There are 2 separate petitions to bring Palace Pets back. Yes, I found only 2, and between them, as I record this, they've gathered just 369 signatures, which isn't great for a franchise millions of children once owned a piece of. Then there's the detail that settles it for me, the final nail in the coffin if you please. Earlier this year, Disney put out a new Sophia the First special, and gave it a brand new range of royal pets. They're called Castle Pets. Yes, handed the choice between dusting off the pets it already had and building shiny new ones from scratch, Disney looked at its own cupboard, shrugged and started again. When a company would rather reinvent the wheel than fetched a perfectly good one from the garage, it's telling you precisely what the old wheel is worth to them. So, I'm sorry to disappoint all you Palace Pets fanatics, but on the evidence, Palace Pets is dead, and it's almost certainly never coming back. And it's not the only thing Disney has callously discarded. Disney keeps a whole graveyard of things just like this, and some of the headstones are a good deal bigger than a princess kitten. Take Pixie Hollow. Back in 2005, Disney went hunting for a second Disney princess, another pastel money fountain to stand beside the first, and settled on Tinker Bell. The Disney Fairies line began as books, sprouted a run of direct-to-video films, and in 2008 opened its own online world, Pixie Hollow, where a few million little girls built a fairy, dressed it up, and paid for the pleasure. And pay they did. There were memberships by the month and by the year, and from 2012, a pretend currency called Pixie Diamonds bought with real ones. Wired's review handed out the usual praise. Nice graphics, loads of customization, fun little minigames, and then, in the cons column, all on its own, 3 words. Heavy-handed consumerism. A polite way of saying the place was basically a shopping centre that occasionally let you flap about between purchases. Then, in August 2023, Disney announced that Pixie Hollow would close the following month, along with 2 other online worlds it ran. On the 19th of September, the accounts were shut and could no longer be opened. The fairies, the items, the years of decorating, all of it gone. The companion app disappeared from the store the same day. According to Disney, they were shifting their focus to mobile. And the fans did what the fans do. They signed petitions. They mourned in comment sections over a fairy they'd seen since they were 8. And a group of them eventually set about rebuilding the whole game by hand from scratch because Disney had kept no copy worth recovering. A preservation project, picking through the rubble of a thing its own maker had bulldozed and forgotten. 10 years on, the Palace Pets crowd are setting off down the very same road, which is again similar to Disney Infinity, which is the same story just with bigger numbers. Infinity was a Toys to Life game. You bought physical figurines, sat them on a little plastic base, and they turned up in-game. Mickey, Elsa, Iron Man, Darth Vader, all sold separately at around 30 quid each, with a starter pack the better part of 80. The game, when you got down to it, was a delivery system for the toys. A shelf of expensive plastic with a screen attached. And again, it sold like crazy. By early 2014, it had shifted 3 million units and added $46 million to Disney's books in a single quarter. It was the best-selling Toys to Life game 2 years running, and Disney executives went on the record calling it a success. And the fanbase was much broader than Palace Pets. Families, older kids, the Marvel lot, the Star Wars lot. And yet, the shape of the story is the same all the same. Because in May 2016, Disney, in all their infinite wisdom, shut it the hell down. It cancelled the game, closed the studio that made it, somewhere near 300 people, and swallowed a write-down of about $147 million. The reason given was that the Toys to Life market had stopped growing and the maths no longer worked. But here's where it bites in particular for the families who'd bought in. On phones, on Apple TV, on Windows, the game switched off completely. On a console, it limped on in offline mode. So the plastic still sat on the shelf. It just didn't do anything anymore. 50 quid of Elsa reclassified overnight as a paperweight. That's Disney for you, and if neither of those ring a bell, then this one certainly will. Yes, we're talking about Club Frickin' Penguin. Disney paid somewhere near $350 million for Club Penguin in 2007, a children's online world with 200 million accounts and a tidy little subscription business. It ran the thing for a decade, closed it in 2017 to herd everyone onto a mobile version, then closed that in 2018. You almost certainly know this already, seeing as Club Penguin shutting down is one of the internet's great shared bereavements. And yet, there's one thing all three of those had that Palace Pets never got: a goodbye. Pixie closed with an announcement and a month's notice. Infinity went out on a corporate blog post and a quote from an executive. Club Penguin at least got a proper send-off twice over. Each of them was at least granted the courtesy of being told it's over. And yet Palace Pets got absolutely none of that. No post, no date, no farewell. The app simply stopped being in the shop one day in 2019. Out of a whole graveyard of dead Disney franchises, the Princess Kittens are the one Disney couldn't even be bothered to bury. They just left it out for the bins. All of which would be a sad little footnote, if Disney could bring itself to just let the thing lie. But it can't quite manage that either, because that April post we opened on was actually not a one-off. A year earlier, in May 2025, Disney Junior ran the identical move. Recycled artwork, the caption "Memory Unlocked," and the question, who remembers this show? And it's safe to say the fans did. Bring it back, please. What happens to the continuation series? Who remembers the game? They still care about Palace Pets. Set that against the deleted apps, the lost money, the abandoned show, and the years of silence, and you can see what Disney still cares about is the 4,000 likes a nostalgia post pulls in on a slow Tuesday. Because remembering Palace Pets is free. Bringing it back, on the other hand, would cost money. The love was always the product. The franchise was only ever the overhead. In the words of the Holly Diaries.
Palace Pets was a franchise with incredible potential, and its early success showed that when executed correctly, its concept could work. But for whatever reason, whether it be timing, oversaturation, or simply audience preferences changing, the Palace Pets franchise ultimately came to its end far before anyone wanted it to.
And she's right to leave it open, because Disney never gave anyone a straight answer to close it with. Whatever killed Palace Pets, nobody there thought it was worth a single word. As this fan said, "I used to live the series when I was a little kid. I will never forgive Disney for discontinuing it. The word in that one is live, a slip for loved, and the slip hands harder than the right one would have. So to anyone who half suspects they dreamed the whole thing, you didn't. You were just remembering something its own maker would rather you only ever do for free." Thank you so much for watching my video. Any other requests about series I should look at, please let me know in that comment section below. I do check them out from time to time. It's helpful to get your guys' recommendations. Till next time, snipe, snap, out.